I never imagined that the boy who bullied me would one day become the golden ML everyone adored, or that my childhood friend, the girl I trusted, would become the flawless FL, shining beside him. I watched from the shadows as they laughed, planned, and lived a life that should have been mine. And then I got a second chance. Reborn, with memories of every betrayal burned into me, I swore I would never be their pawn again. This time, I would watch, I would wait, and I would decide. But the question is, would I have the strength to resist the pull of old emotions, or would their charm trap me once more? I remember the way they laughed, her giggles mixing with his jeers, echoing through the school corridors as if the world existed only for them. "Watch your step, loser," he'd snap, shoving me lightly, though it never drew a reaction from anyone else. And she'd tilt her head, smile innocently, and whisper, "Don't be so sensitive." Everyone believed her sweetness, but I remembered the glint in her eyes, the one that said she enjoyed it just as much as he did. I pressed my back against the locker, pretending I wasn't noticing them. I could hear every detail, the slap of his hand against her shoulder, the way they leaned toward each other in a shared joke at my expense. "You'll never change, will you?" I muttered under my breath, my fists clenched. Then a voice startled me. "Hey, are you even listening?" My little brother's face appeared from around the corner, eyes wide. "You're talking to yourself again." I'm fine," I said, forcing a smile I didn't feel. "Just thinking." He nodded, but I knew he didn't understand. Nobody did. That day, like every other day, I sank deeper into the shadows, invisible yet painfully aware. Later, in the classroom, she leaned over my desk. "Do you even know what you're doing?" she asked softly, a smile that was half concern, half amusement. "I do," I said, trying to sound confident. "More than you know." "Oh?" She tilted her head, eyebrows raised. "Then why do you always sit alone?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. The words would betray the truth, that I remembered every cruel word, every shove, every laughter aimed at me. I felt my heart tighten, remembering how he stole every moment of attention, how she let him, sometimes even joining in. Years passed in a blur. I watched them grow, watched him become that magnetic presence everyone admired. She followed, perfect as ever, moving in step with his world. And me? I was still a shadow, watching from the sidelines. Until the accident. It's funny how life, or whatever force decides these things, gives second chances. One moment, I was walking home, the rain soaking through my jacket, my thoughts heavy with bitterness. The next, I woke up, here. In my younger body. Everything felt familiar and foreign at the same time, my small hands, the smell of chalk in the classroom, even my mother's gentle voice calling me for lunch. I blinked, disoriented. This can't be real," I whispered. "Am I dreaming?" But the mirror didn't lie. My own face stared back, 10 years younger, untouched by the scars of life I had endured. And yet, the memory of every betrayal was vivid, seared into my mind. I gritted my teeth. No. This time, I'll never be their pawn. The words echoed louder in my head than any teacher's lecture. I felt a surge of determination and something darker, a quiet hunger for justice, maybe revenge. She walked into the room, carrying a stack of books, her hair falling perfectly over one shoulder. Even then, I noticed the way she tilted her head, the effortless grace that made people like her. She didn't see me, not fully. And that's how I liked it, for now. "Did you hear about the new project?" she asked another classmate, her voice sweet and light. I could hear the laugh in her tone, the ease of her life, and it made something in me clench tighter. I watched him too, the boy who had tormented me endlessly, now sitting with his friends, smirking like the world belonged to him. "Some things never change," I muttered. But everything had changed. I had a second chance, and this time, I wouldn't let history repeat itself. I'd watch them, study them, and if necessary, manipulate the game so they couldn't touch me again. A plan began forming in the shadows of my mind, careful, calculated, patient. Still, even as I steeled myself, a shiver ran down my spine. Something felt off. People around me glanced in strange ways, whispers brushed against my ears, moments I couldn't place. Was it just my imagination, or did someone else know I had returned? I shook my head. Focus. Learn. Wait, I told myself. Every small interaction, every smile she threw at someone else, every confident glance he gave, everything became data. Every laugh, a piece of the puzzle. And then I smiled, quietly, to myself. This time, I was not the shadow. This time, I would decide how the story went. I would rise, and they wouldn't see it coming. Because shadows, I realized, are dangerous when they finally move. I didn't expect the city to feel so small. Walking down the crowded street, I spotted him immediately, ML, handsome, confident, the kind of man whose presence made people bend without realizing it. He was laughing, leaning close to her, FL. The same girl who had smiled through my pain years ago, now radiant and unbothered. My stomach twisted, a mix of old resentment and cautious curiosity. He looks different than I remember, I muttered to myself, ducking behind a cafe corner. You mean taller, stronger, more unbearable, a voice said softly beside me. I jumped, turning to see a man in his 40s, calm, observant eyes. Yes, I admitted. He's the same and completely changed. That's growth, he said, a small smile playing on his lips. Or maybe you just notice it now. I narrowed my eyes. Do you know them? I know people like them, he said, cryptically. And I can help you navigate this world. Carefully. I hesitated. Trust wasn't easy for me, not anymore. Why would you help me? Because I've seen what happens when someone who remembers the past ignores it, he said. You have an advantage. Don't waste it. I kept my focus on ML and FL, look at them. Laughing like the world is theirs. Do they even know I exist? Maybe not, my mentor said, but everything you do, every move, leaves ripples. I watched as FL touched ML's arm, her laugh soft, perfect. You haven't changed a bit, she said. He grinned. Neither have you. Some things are meant to last. I clenched my fists. Even after all these years, he still had that smirk, the one that made me want to disappear. Some things should have ended long ago, I muttered under my breath. Careful, my mentor warned. You want to expose weaknesses, not make yourself obvious. I nodded, forcing calm. I had spent years imagining this moment, and now that it had come, I had to play it right. Slowly, I walked closer, pretending to check my phone, observing. FL glanced at me, then returned to him. Do you remember the Thompson account? I've got an idea that could triple our reach in a month. ML leaned in. We have to be smart. Risks aren't worth it if someone else can use them against us. My chest tightened. They were planning something, and if I got too close, I could fall into the trap they were building without realizing it. I had to be careful. Sounds like a setup for disaster, I muttered under my breath. You're thinking ahead. Good, my mentor said. Keep watching. Learn how they operate. They have patterns. Everyone does. I stayed nearby, blending into the crowd, pretending to be absorbed in something else. The more I observed, the more I realized how much they hadn't changed emotionally. ML still thrived on control, FL still sought admiration. And yet, I saw cracks. The way he paused when she looked at him with doubt, the slight hesitation in her laughter. Small weaknesses, almost invisible, but there. Do you think they'd recognize me? I whispered. Not yet, my mentor said. But you need to ask yourself, what do you want? Revenge? Proof? Or closure? I didn't answer immediately. My mind replayed their childhood games, the sneers, the whispered insults, the betrayal that had haunted me. And now, here they were, grown up, powerful, beautiful. I could confront them directly, but should I? Or should I wait, letting them unknowingly stumble into the consequences I set? You're thinking too much, my mentor said. Sometimes the hardest choice is restraint. I exhaled, trying to steady my pulse. I want them to know I'm not weak anymore, I said. But I also don't want to lose myself in this. That's good, he said. That's exactly why I'm here. You have to stay ahead, observe, calculate, and move when the time is right. Don't let old emotions blind you. I nodded, pretending to scroll on my phone, but my eyes never left them. They laughed again, and I caught the flicker of a glance between them, a secret I didn't yet understand. You see it too? I asked my mentor quietly. I do, he said. And that's why you must be careful. They're playing a game, and you're a piece they could use. Only you can turn the table. I swallowed hard, a slow smile creeping across my face. I would watch them, I would learn, and when the moment came, I would decide how the game ended. Because now, I knew, I wasn't just observing anymore. I was part of the web, and this time, I would control the strands. I watched them again from across the room, pretending to sip my coffee while my eyes tracked every move. ML leaned against the balcony railing, laughing with two men I didn't recognize. FL floated between them, her smile effortless, radiating charm. They didn't see me. They couldn't. Not yet. You're staring too hard, my confidant whispered, appearing beside me like he'd been waiting. I have to, I said softly. They're hiding something. You mean what they always hide, he smirked. Their selfishness. Always the same, even now. I nodded. I need details. Everything. Who's loyal, who's fake. Every reaction counts. Then start small, he advised. Casual conversation. Don't let them suspect anything. Let them talk. I straightened, approaching FL first. Hey, long time no see, I said, forcing a light tone. FL looked up, startled, but smiled. Oh. You're here. I didn't expect. Yeah, I just moved back, I interrupted gently. The city's smaller than I thought. She laughed, and it pierced me, just a little. Charming, radiant, even now. I forced my smile wider. How have you been? Oh, you know, busy. ML's been keeping me on my toes, and works, well, you know. Her eyes flickered briefly toward him, and I noticed the slight tension in her shoulders. He can be demanding. I tilted my head, curious. Really? I thought he'd learned to be reasonable. She shrugged. Sometimes. But some things never change. I let her words sink in, careful not to reveal anything. The conversation was small, harmless, yet every word was a threat. I nodded politely. I get it. Some habits stick. ML's voice carried from the balcony. FL, stop worrying about it. I can handle it. Handle what? I asked casually, though my pulse quickened. She smiled faintly, glancing at me. Just, work stuff. Don't mind me. I nodded, pretending to sip coffee again. But my mind raced. They were still playing the same game they had as children: control, attention, manipulation. And now, power and status were their toys. You're getting close, my confidant murmured. Don't slip. Your emotions can betray you. I know, I muttered, trying to steady my heart. She had a way of pulling me in, even now. Every smile, every tilt of her head, it almost made me forget why I was here. Almost. I walked closer to ML, pretending to check my watch. Hey, you, I said casually. Still ruling everything with that grin of yours? He glanced down, smirk widening. Who's asking? Someone who remembers, I said lightly, letting the words hang, vague enough to be harmless. And notices patterns. He chuckled, a deep sound, and leaned closer. Patterns? Careful, you might get caught studying the wrong one. I smirked back. I think I can handle myself. Careful, my confidant whispered behind me. Subtle exposure. Don't force it. I observed ML closely, noting the subtle hesitations, the way his friends deferred to him, the small cracks in his confidence. I could manipulate this. I could orchestrate situations where he'd show weakness without realizing I was watching. Then FL approached me again, holding a tablet. I need your opinion, she said, her voice soft, inviting. I want someone neutral to weigh in. I glanced at her, masking my thoughts. Neutral? Yes, she said, smiling. No bias. Just, tell me what you think. I hesitated, my mind splitting. She wasn't aware of my past, but a small part of me wanted to tell her, to see her reaction. Yet I stayed silent. Fine. Let's see. We crouched over the tablet, discussing the data, and I noticed a subtle glance between her and ML, something hidden, something she was not saying. I filed it away mentally. This was my game, and every glance, every slip, was ammunition. You're too easy to read, ML said suddenly, appearing beside us. Or maybe I'm just lucky. I met his gaze calmly. Maybe, I said softly, letting the ambiguity linger. FL laughed, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I think you're overthinking it, she teased, glancing at me innocently. I swallowed, feeling the pull again, but stronger now was the drive to manipulate, to expose, to watch. They didn't know I was observing, planning. The web was tightening, and I held the strings in my mind. You're doing well, my confidant whispered. But remember, one misstep, and they'll see the wrong thing. I know, I said quietly. I won't let that happen. Not now, not ever. Then, just as I was about to leave, ML's voice carried a subtle warning. Careful who you trust, he said, eyes narrowing. Not everyone is what they seem. I froze, the chill crawling down my spine. Was it instinct? Or did he sense me? I smiled faintly to myself. Let's see who discovers first, I muttered under my breath, stepping back into the crowd, hidden but ever watchful. Suspense tightened around me like a vice, but I thrived in it. The confrontation was coming, and whether they realized it yet or not, I was ready. I watched them carefully, letting the situation unfold like a game I'd designed. ML's confident smile faltered slightly as a colleague confronted him about a mismanaged deal. What do you mean the contract wasn't approved? He snapped, voice tight, hands gripping the papers. I checked twice, the man said. It's not complete. Looks like someone didn't handle it properly. I hid a smirk behind my coffee cup. Subtle, careful, my interference was invisible, yet the ripple was already spreading. ML's friends shifted uneasily, eyes flicking toward him as doubt crept in. FL appeared at the edge of the room, holding a stack of files. Everything okay here? She asked casually, though her eyes darted nervously. Fine, ML said quickly, brushing it off. Just a minor oversight. I stepped closer, pretending to adjust my papers. Minor, maybe, I said softly, letting my voice carry just enough for her to hear. But every oversight leaves a mark, doesn't it? Her gaze lingered on me, the faintest flicker of recognition in her eyes. I don't know what you mean, she said, forcing a smile. I nodded politely, keeping my expression neutral. Of course. Just an observation. ML's jaw tightened. You're overthinking it, he muttered, though his eyes betrayed uncertainty. I took a deep breath, savoring the tension. Every carefully placed word, every tiny manipulation, it was working. Their facades were cracking, and no one suspected me. Later, FL approached me under the pretense of reviewing files together. "I need your advice," she said, handing me a document. "You're trustworthy, right?" I paused, heart hammering. She didn't know me, yet something in her tone tugged at memories I tried to bury. "I'll help," I said, forcing calm. "What's the issue?" She leaned closer, voice low. "ML's taking risks with the budget. He thinks no one notices, but I can see it. What should I do?" I suppressed a smile. "You can't control him, not completely. But you can make him see consequences without showing your hand." She looked at me, confused. I don't understand." "Sometimes," I said gently, "people have to learn the hard way." Her brow furrowed, and I saw a flicker of unease. It felt good, justice delivered subtly, without cruelty. My past anger felt lighter, but a pang of sorrow reminded me of how much pain these same people had caused me. Later, ML's assistant approached me nervously. "Sir, there's a meeting in 5 minutes," she said, glancing at ML. I nodded. "Thanks." As she left, I whispered under my breath, "This time, I won't let them hurt me again." The meeting started, and ML tried to maintain his usual authority. "I want this report completed by end of day," he said, voice firm, yet a few colleagues exchanged glances, uncertain. "You can't push everyone without consequences," I murmured to myself, watching him falter for the first time. FL stayed close, her eyes on me more than him. You feel familiar," she said quietly, almost to herself. I glanced at her, hiding my smile. "Perhaps it's just intuition," I replied softly, keeping my tone casual. She frowned, frustration evident. "No, it's more than that. She shook her head, walking away before finishing the thought. I could feel her mind racing, questioning what she couldn't place. Perfect. Outside, ML muttered under his breath, rubbing his temple. "Something's wrong," he admitted, loud enough for a few nearby to hear. "I don't know what it is." I remained still, calm, absorbing the moment. "Even charm and power aren't enough," I whispered. "Even brilliance can't protect you from consequences." FL glanced back again, hesitation in her step. I kept my distance, letting her sense of confusion grow without revealing myself. She had to piece it together alone. Let her feel the unease, the vulnerability that only comes when someone realizes they've been too comfortable. ML tried to regain composure, issuing instructions quickly. But subtle doubts lingered, visible in the quick glances he cast at colleagues. I noted every flicker, every hesitation, storing it for later use. The day ended, and I walked away quietly, heart racing. Satisfaction surged through me, mingled with sorrow for what I had endured. They had stumbled, felt the weight of actions they'd once taken lightly. And I had watched, guided the subtle unraveling, but remained unseen. I paused, letting the city lights wash over me. "This is only the beginning," I muttered. "They'll learn. And I will be ready for the moment when everything shifts completely." Because tonight, the edge of karma had been felt, and tomorrow, the consequences would grow sharper. I stepped into the room, the subtle click of my shoes echoing louder than I expected. ML looked up, his usual confident smirk faltering for a split second. FL's head snapped toward me, eyes wide, recognition flickering but uncertain. "Didn't expect to see you here," ML said, voice tight. "Neither did I replied calmly, letting the words hang. I could feel the shift in the air, the tension, the curiosity, the unspoken questions. FL approached cautiously. You feel familiar," she whispered, almost to herself. "I suppose some things can't be forgotten," I said lightly, keeping my tone neutral, letting her imagination run wild. ML frowned. "What do you mean?" I smiled faintly, careful not to reveal too much. "I've been watching. Learning. Seeing patterns that no one else noticed. Her eyes narrowed. Patterns? What are you talking about? You know exactly what I mean, I said softly. Actions have consequences. Choices leave marks, even if they're hidden. ML's jaw tightened. Are you threatening me? I shook my head. No. I'm informing you. Karma has a way of catching up. Subtle, inevitable, but undeniable. FL stepped closer, searching my face. Wait. I know you. You. Not yet, I interrupted gently. I won't let the past control me. I'm not the person I was before. I've learned, I've changed, and I'm not here to be used. ML ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. You're different. Calm, calculated. I can't read you. That's the point, I said, my gaze steady. I'm not here to play your game anymore. I'm here to reclaim what's mine, peace, dignity, and control of my life. FL's eyes softened slightly, guilt and confusion mixing. I didn't know. I didn't realize. I shook my head. It's not about realization anymore. It's about consequences. Your charm, your power, they can't shield you forever. ML swallowed hard. So, what now? Now. I let a small smile form. Now, you understand. Actions ripple. People notice. Karma isn't loud, it's quiet, but it lands where it's supposed to. FL looked down, conflicted. I see that now. I didn't think. I nodded, keeping my voice calm, almost gentle. None of us did, sometimes. But understanding isn't enough. You have to face it, live with it, and learn from it. ML's smirk had disappeared, replaced by a rare uncertainty. And you? What do you gain from all this? I gain myself, I said firmly. I am no one's pawn. I decide my life now. That's all the justice I need. FL lifted her gaze, searching my eyes. You're different. Stronger. I had to be, I admitted softly. Watching you, living through the past, I couldn't be weak again. I won't allow it. The room was silent, tension thick but no longer threatening. They were unraveling, not through my attack, but through subtle exposure and understanding. I had guided the outcome without destroying them, proving my control without surrendering to vengeance. You've changed everything, ML said quietly, almost a whisper. I didn't change them, I said. They changed themselves by being who they always were. I just held up the mirror. FL looked conflicted, ashamed, yet aware. I understand, she said. Maybe I should have thought differently. You will, I said, voice calm. Lessons are inevitable. Some are harder than others, but they arrive for everyone. I turned toward my mentor, who had silently observed from the corner. His nod was subtle but proud, a quiet acknowledgement of my transformation. I felt a warmth, a validation that went beyond words. As I walked out, leaving ML and FL to process their unraveling, I breathed deeply. Freedom wasn't loud. It wasn't explosive. It was quiet, satisfying, a reclaiming of power and self-respect. I am free, I whispered under my breath. I am no one's pawn. I decide my life now. And for the first time in years, I felt the weight lift, the past dissolve, and the future stretch ahead, not dictated by anyone else, but by me. The city lights outside gleamed like possibilities. Karma had touched them, subtly but undeniably. And I had survived, grown, and finally broken free.